I think maybe even Dirty Jersey Rat. Dirty Jersey. Yay! I love that song.
Danny, have I trashed you? Danny, I'll wait.
He always thinks that everything is about trashing everybody. We all know that, but Jesus Christ, John, don't start out like that.
Have I trashed you? No, I haven't. I think your motions are ridiculous, but I think you're doing it because you got a vendetta against me, which is odd because you were a super fan, and I know you're a super fan. Shit.
So typically, I would not say that attorneys have vendettas. Instead, it is their job to make sure that they are representing their clients to the best of their abilities. I don't know why John is taking this particular position, but he is really steadfast about it.
I've called you a good-looking guy.
Nice.
I've complimented your wife.
Of course.
They, however, trash my attorneys, who are officers of the court. Is that okay with you? I'll wait. My people don't trash yours. My people, scratch that.
Whoops. Yeah, didn't say that correctly, did we, John?
My people don't trash you. Just remember, Danny, I don't trash you. Do I call your motions ridiculous? Yes, I'm entitled to do that. Because in my honest opinion, I think you're trying to fucking exhaust my resources.
This is absurd. Is Danny's strategy actually to exhaust John's resources? Obviously not. It is the plaintiff's case. It is John's case. If he didn't want to put resources into this lawsuit, then he should not have filed the lawsuit. When you file a lawsuit, you got to spend money on it. What did he think? It was going to cost him. I think the other day he said anytime that he's ever in a lawsuit ever again, he's going to represent himself. And it was only going to cost him the $20 filing fee. Let me tell you right now, John, it is not a $20 filing fee. It's more than that, typically. Maybe I'm wrong about that because, again, I'm just a dumb paralegal. But no. I think that Danny's strategy in this case is to vigorously represent his clients and their case. I don't understand why John cannot see that for the life of him.
I think that's your strategy. I don't give a fuck if you're a pit bull.
No, doesn't matter. None of that actually matters. Now, John, during this clip from just 2 days ago, also talked a lot about the idea of trashing lawyers. So he says, we're doing that. Not Carl, not Shuli. It's us, you guys, and me in particular, and also Frog from TSN. Now, I want to just address that right now. Let's do it. I can absolutely make comments and commentary on the filings and the public information relating to this case, including the attorneys that are relating to it. In doing that, I absolutely do risk a loss of credibility because I could look extremely biased, which John thinks that I am. We'll get into how biased I am in a little bit. But, I guess it doesn't really matter if he thinks that I'm biased since he already thinks that I am. And I have expressed my opinions about this case as a dumb paralegal who doesn't know anything. Part of that is that I've been extremely critical of John's attorneys' arguments and their filings and their strategy. John also addresses the fact that I'm a witness in these clips, but it doesn't matter if I'm a witness or not at this point. I was a witness in this case relating specifically to the defendant's motion to change venue. That motion has already been decided upon. So it's basically moot now. Doesn't matter. So John can stop this whole hanging his hat on the fact that I am worse for making commentary because I'm a witness. Doesn't make any sense. Now, John, again, in all of these clips from just the last couple of days, he does a lot of talking about Danny. And in this next one, he really truly thinks that he has a leg up on Danny.
Danny doesn't know yet. He'll find out if we get to discovery. And I think that's why Danny is trying to his darndest to keep this away from discovery.
Now, I would argue quite the opposite, John. I think that Danny wants this to go to discovery. In fact, I think, John, that maybe you don't want this to go to discovery. You know why? Because discovery is extremely, extremely expensive. And I think that there may or may not be some issues with that. I could be wrong, obviously. In fact, I would argue that Danny representing Carl and Shuli, has been the only person trying to move this case forward. He was the one who filed the RJI, which of course is the document that actually puts this case on the docket in Monroe County. And in addition to that, he requested that the court set the April 22nd date. He's the one who wants to move the case forward in the best way for his clients. Now, is the best way for his clients to move the case forward discovery? Probably not, because again, discovery is super duper expensive. I don't think anybody wants to go to discovery. However, it sure seems like if anybody is prepared to go to discovery, it's defendants, not plaintiff. Again, John always does this thing where he's saying, here's this argument, but really it's because it's what he's afraid of. So when John says stuff like this, I think you're afraid of discovery, baby. What don't you want to get discovered? What don't you want people to know? Do you not have the money for discovery? Or is it that you don't think you have a case? Because he's done a fair amount of admitting effectively that he doesn't think he has a case. He's said before that if he loses, or when he loses, I think were his exact words, that he'll just appeal the decision. An appeal is for when you lost. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. I'm seeing people in the chat right now saying the word projection. Russ Williams. Yes, absolutely. Projection. John is doing projection in all of this stuff. But it's okay because I know that we all don't really think that this is possible. John has cracked the case because he realizes that Danny for sure knows the law.
Knows right of publicity law. There's no way Danny does not know right of publicity law. Danny, I know you know right of publicity law, and I know that you know what they did was
they don't know that we know that they know that we know
was wrong. I know you know what they did was wrong. So stop with the fucking nonsense.
I got to be honest with you, that kind of feels a little bit like a threat to me. Now, John has been on this repeat bender, shall I call it, of saying that he has never trashed Danny. He has never trashed Danny's wife. That didn't feel great to me. I wouldn't feel great having somebody yell that in my face, even if it's through a computer screen. Lip wipe, yes.
Let this fucking thing happen. If it loses on the merits, so be it. But stop the bullshit.
Now, I got to be honest, John. I couldn't agree with you more here. But also, you're very dumb. Losing on the merits, I want to talk about what that means for a moment. It means that the court has to make a decision about the actual substance of the claims, who is legally right and who is legally wrong, based specifically on the facts of law. That is very obvious, right? And that's what happens in litigation. That's the whole reason that people file motions and cross motions and give the court information so that they can make a decision based upon the facts of law. Now, one of the ways that the judge can do that is obviously look at those motions and the arguments within them. And specifically, one of Danny's motions on behalf of Carl and Shuli, the motion to dismiss, this is a motion that absolutely can result in John losing on the merits if it is granted with prejudice based on failure to state a claim. This is because that is the court saying that even if the facts are true, there is no valid claim. Nothing was okay. And this is one of the first arguments that Danny actually made in his motion to dismiss. It was his first argument in that motion. He says counts 1 through 3 are not valid based upon not valid causes of actions. He also says that constitutional defenses and statutory exemptions are apparent from the face of the first amended complaint. He also says that the plaintiff admitted in a video that the First Amendment complaint's allegations are false. I'm not going to play that video again. We've all seen it. We all know that it exists. He also says that the plaintiff failed to plead other events upon which his claims depended, such as an illegal phone call recording and the legally impossible theft of plaintiff's discarded trash. We all know it was the couch cushions. We can't do one of these episodes without talking about the couch cushion. You guys know that. And other failures to plead a cause of action described here. And what we're saying here, what Danny is saying, we, all of us, what we're saying is that John's attorneys did not properly state a cause of action. And that is something that should result on a loss on the merits. John, I agree with you. we should be looking at that. And if he loses on the merits, he loses on the merits. Very menacing right now. Yeah, come on, John. We got
I
it.
have an obligation to my clients. You don't have an obligation to be an asshole. You know?
All right. Danny's not being an asshole by making legal arguments. It's not asshole-ish to be an attorney representing your clients. People in the United States deserve legal representation. So regardless of the type of case that we're talking about right now, your attorney should be representing you to the fullest of their abilities. And I think that that is exactly what Danny is doing. He's not being an asshole. But John thinks that Danny is just being a bully by trying to get his attorneys, specifically Bennett Susser, because again, Tabber seems to be totally out of the picture at this point. Danny's being a bully because he's trying to get Bennett to go to Rochester. Now, I know everybody hates Rochester. Rochester sucks. Yeah, I get it. Nobody wants to come here, but it's not bullyish about that. Come on.
You don't have to be an asshole. If you want to argue, the merits of the case, argue it. But don't start fucking, being a complete asshole and trying to get Bennett. He's trying to take care of his 100-year-old mother to fucking fly all the way to Rochester for a 20-minute conference just so you can fucking say you won. Come on.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that that's the reason that Danny wants Bennett in Rochester. In fact, John, I don't even think that it's Danny who wants Bennett in Rochester. I think it's the court. I think it's Judge D'Onofrio. That is the person who has ordered this to be an in-person hearing. Danny just agreed with the court about it. He just agreed. That's all that Danny did. Danny's not being an asshole because of that. It doesn't make any sense that John cannot understand how the court proceedings work when he did so well on his LSAT. It's very, very peculiar to me. And I think that John in many of these clips is being a little bit intimidating towards Danny. I never like the term wrong side of history. Also happy 420, everybody.
I'm fighting, man. I'm fucking fighting, considering the fact of he's fucking doing what he's doing to my fucking great lawyer, sweet motherfucker, and trying to make his life miserable to go to Rochester. Danny.
Well, I mean, again, it's usually miserable in Rochester. Today we got a lot of snow, but let me tell you, on Wednesday, April 22nd, it is going to be sunny, balmy, and beautiful. I can't wait. It's going to be a great day.
This ain't going to end well for you, meaning you're on the wrong side of history. Let's go.
Skol, everybody. Now, again, wrong side of history, it is such a dramatic way to say that you think that Danny is wrong. And not only that, but he started that out with, this ain't gonna end well for you, Danny. No, no, no. This is gonna be awful. As for the wrong side of history, I do agree that it is possible that this lawsuit, that this lawsuit will eventually be taught in law schools as a case study. So I guess it's possible that this lawsuit will go down in history. But I don't think that Danny Cevallos is going to be considered a shit lawyer because of it. In fact, I think that Danny is probably pretty particular about the cases he takes on because he can be. That is exactly what happens when you are a legal analyst and you have a very successful legal career. I don't understand how John can't see the right and wrong of history in any way. I don't know. If it goes into a law class and then somebody studies it, maybe it is the wrong side of history. It's not. I'm trying to logic it into a place, and I am wrong to do that. Look at that. I'm admitting when I'm wrong. Can you guys believe it?
Jersey, you broke my heart. Mainly by including Granny. That's my main issue.
You know what? You weren't. I know that your ass was not going to bring this up.